Hey, hi. Pretty interesting setup.
Yeah, hi Deepak. Thank you for being here. We have something really interesting planned for you.
Great.
We have our cultural behavior chits in this bowl. Can you please pick up one of these and talk about it?
Sure. Let's see what do we have in pink. Oh, lovely. Execute rigorously.
That's great.
I think that's one tenet which we live by.
Yeah.
Execute rigorously means when you have to do something meticulously, do something with discipline, do something strictly, and ensure that you have really followed the strategy, you have really followed the action on each and every parameter. As collections and FCU, I think this is a motto that we live by. More importantly, we are in the business of retail. Retail is all about detail. And you will be able to see details only if you are able to execute rigorously. You can create the best of strategies. You can create the best of ideation. But if you're not able to implement those strategies with aplomb, you will not be able to achieve the desired results. So execute rigorously is something that is core, that is critical to our business, to our organization, and that's something that we need to live by on a daily basis.
Thank you so much for this insightful opinion of yours.
Sure.
I have some questions for you now. First one is, how can we bring this rigor in our day-to-day work life?
See, first and foremost, before bringing in the rigor, you need to be very clear what the strategy is. You need to be very clear about each and every component of executing that particular strategy. Once you are clear about how do we have to go about executing it, you need to ensure that day in, day out, I'm following it to T, without deviating from it. And only then we will be able to achieve whatever we have set out for.
So my next question is, can you give us an example of how do you see this rigor in your team members?
Oh, sure. I think as part of collections and FCU, this is one thing which we live by on a daily basis. So let's understand how, just giving an example. When we go and meet a customer who is delinquent, he gives me a particular date that please come on this particular date and I will make a payment. We call it PTP, promise to pay.
Okay.
You need to ensure that if he has called you on a particular date, let's say at 9 a.m., you are available knocking at his door at 9 a.m. on that particular date. Before that, you have already texted him confirming that I'm coming on this and this date at this and this time. Please ensure that the payment is ready. That's what rigor is all about. If we have created an SOP that on a particular day, a particular SMS needs to be sent, a particular message needs to be sent to the customer as a reminder, it needs to happen on that particular date. Doesn't matter, it can't be that, okay, I'm doing it for half the people or I'm doing it as per my whims and fancies. If there are 100 cases which are reaching that particular DPD and this message needs to be delivered, it needs to be delivered for each and every one of them. Similarly in FCU, each document that you scrutinize has its own trigger. You have to have that eye for detail to validate whether this document, which is very genuine looking, is it really genuine or not. And therefore, if there are 6 triggers that are there in a document, I need to ensure whenever I'm looking at that document, I need to look at all those 6 triggers and tick off that yes, this trigger is applicable or not. So unless you have this kind of a rigor, unless you are doing the same thing over and over again, day in, day out, you'll not be able to say that whatever I had envisaged for, whatever my strategy was, I will be able to get the same outcome, what I had imagined about it.
Okay, Deepak, so now my third question is that we know that execution is based on strategy, but how do you know what's the best strategy?
Unless you are able to implement that strategy, you will not be able to know the outcome. So whether the strategy is working or not, okay, once you have implemented it, only then you will come to know. But at the end of it, you should not have that feeling that maybe the strategy did not work because I was not able to execute it properly. If I have been able to execute it properly and something's changed, fair enough. I mean, that's absolutely okay. We can always recalibrate, we can always reorient ourselves. Execution rigor needs to run. First and foremost, we need to be clear what my strategy is. I need to have adequate belief in that particular strategy. I need to be very clear that if I have to achieve a particular outcome, what are the tenets that I need to do? A detailed plan that this is the entire scheme of things that I need to implement. Once I have that clarity, I need to ensure day in and day out, every person is rigorously, in a very plain, boring way, just going ahead and executing it. That's what execute rigor or execution rigor is all about. At the same time, you will have your own pitfalls, you will have your own moments of success and failure. As a manager, you need to create that environment, you need to create that culture that, hey, if I've given my best, even if there is a slight mismatch in the outcome that I was anticipating, that's okay. Let me fine tune it a little more. Let me go ahead and move on to the next step and do the same thing again, so that I don't get bogged down that I was not able to, look at the outcome. Rigor is all about input. I just need to keep focusing on the inputs. Outcome is just a metric that will come out if I'm sure that I've been able to do my inputs correctly. To me, that's all about execution rigor.